Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for the September Tabs3 virtual user group meeting from Attorney Computer Systems, where today we are talking about transfer and replicate, the new buttons that appear in tabs on the fee entry screen. Very exciting. Mary Jo will take that topic. And the statement of cash flow report, also a new feature. I will take that topic. So, without any further ado, I'm going to press all the right buttons, not just one of the right buttons, but all of them. And I'm going to get us into tabs where Mary Jo is going to talk to us about the new transfer and replicate buttons.
Okay, so in tabs, we now, in the latest version, have version 19, have the option to now transfer a fee right from the fee entry. So this happens when you have someone or yourself who has entered in a fee for the wrong matter and you decide that you need to move it to the right matter. Before, what we would have to do is either delete that and re-enter it, or we'd have to tell someone, an admin or somebody that has rights to be able to transfer, to be able to do that. So now that can be done actually right in the fee entry, and you can move it. We're also going to talk about how to replicate a fee and be able to copy it to another matter if you'd like to. Sometimes we have the exact same description and everything, and we just want to move, enter that on another matter the same way and maybe change a few things or not. So I'm going to show you how to do that too. To make sure that you have these options, to find out, you're going to want to make sure that you are on the latest release. Let me get that up on the screen. And so that is going to be in this one here that I've got circled in the blue box here. So version 19.1.11.1417 released on 7/23 added those transfer and replicate buttons. So that's how you're going to be able to know if you're on the right version. To see that in tabs, all you have to do is go to Help, About Tabs 3, and that will show you then what version that you are on, and right over here it will have the information that you need. So that's where you're going to go to get that. You're going to want something after that 19.1.11 release and after 7/23. So let's go into fee entry. We're going to show you that I am in a fee right now. Yep, I'm going to get into I'm just in a fee window right now. And so we're going to go into our Kelly White matter. Whoops, if I can get my numlock on here. And we're just going to go into her divorce matter. And I'm going to bring up a particular fee entry. So I'm just going to double click it and bring it up on the screen. And let's say that I entered this fee entry in here, but I wanted this fee entry to go to her estate planning matter. I entered this under the wrong matter. It's not for her divorce, it's for her other matter. Well, right up here on the screen, here's my transfer button, and there's my replicate button that we talked about. So I'm going to click on the transfer button, and you can see the old client ID is the 850.00. I'm going to move it to her 850.01 matter. That's going to be her last will and testament matter. And then I have the option to update the rate and then calculate the amount. So sometimes different matters are going to have different rates and different amounts, especially if we move it to a whole different client. Now I moved this to a new matter for Kelly White, but I could have just as easily moved this to another client entirely. Maybe I entered this under the wrong person altogether. You can do that, and that new client matter may have a totally different rate, and so we want to use that rate that's applicable to that matter we're moving to. So I am going to leave it checked. I do want it to update if there is a different rate for her last will and testament matter, and say OK. When I do that, it's going to tell me that it was successfully transferred. You see it disappeared off my list down here, and if I go to her 01 matter, that entry is now going to be over here on the screen. So we've just, in a sense, just moved it from one matter to another. Again, you can do that from one client to another. It's all in what you want to do there. Now let's say that I have this entry. I'm going to bring one up on the screen again here, so we'll just bring up this one. And I want to recreate this exact same description and everything for this fee, the date, everything, and I just want to replicate it for another matter. Sometimes we're doing work, maybe you're doing some kind of work that's repetitive. Everything's the same, you're doing it over and over, but just for different clients. and you've created one fee entry and you don't want to have to type all that in again, it's 0.7, it's this description, and you just want to go ahead and create that again and kind of copy this to another matter. Well, that's what replicate's going to do. So I've got this one up on the screen, and I'm going to say that I want to replicate this out to the 850 matter. I want it to be on both of them. Again, I'm going to update the rate and then calculate the amount, but you don't have to. Say OK. And now it's successfully been copied. So you see it left that entry here on the 850.01 matter. But if I go over here to the 00 matter, I'm going to see that it's also over here now on that same matter with the same description. And once it's moved, if there's any tweaking that you wanted to do, you could do that, to change it, but it's basically copying everything exactly the same. The timekeeper, the date, the amount. If the rate were different, it would update it, and then the description. So really handy tools, two really great things that's going to speed up your time entry for you, especially if you enter something incorrectly or you just want to duplicate over and over again the same entry on different matters. Paul?
Now, oddly enough, sorry, I'm looking to see if I got my mute set right. Oddly enough, this is functionality that really, especially the transfer, it's been there in Tabs for a while, but it was buried in a section that usually only administrators had access to. And the thought, I think, was that you could transfer a whole bunch of stuff using that mechanism. You can do some things as you're transferring that you can't do here. And then this functionality got added to Practice Master. The replicate fees and the transfer transactions, or change client ID is what it's called there, because you're just pulling up a record, changing the client ID, moving it to a different client or a different matter. And so this is stuff that's been in Tabs for a long time, but under a more restrictive, slightly more complex way of doing things that usually only administrators had. Then they put this functionality into Practice Master, and then all the people that were stuck entering time over in Tabs said, hey, wait a minute, we want that too. So what you're getting here is one button sort of access to this functionality at an end user level. So now it's something that the end users can do, and I think it really makes things a lot easier for
on a fee-by-fee basis, this is really helpful. Exactly what Paul said. The transfer transactions program here allows you to not only do fees, but it does cost payments, and then the all scary AR and fund balances. When you move that, you can do some pretty dangerous things. You can move everything and wipe a client out by that. Well, this restricts that. They're only able to do the fees. It's kind of it's opened it up a little bit for people to fix some of the things themselves.
That they're doing as they're entering things, exactly. Well, I'm going to switch over to a different gear and a different program, and I'm going to talk about the statement of cash flows. Now, a little bit of definition here. Sometimes people, when I say statement of cash flows and they aren't familiar with what that means, they say, well, we have an income statement. We can see what income's coming in and what money's going out. Well, the problem with that is that not all the money that comes in shows up in your income statement right away. For instance, if you get a retainer, that's probably going to go into some sort of an asset account or a liability account over in your balance sheet. When the work is performed, it becomes fee income, and Tabs pulls it out of that account and applies it to the statement, and at that point it's income. But you may have gotten that $5,000 3 months ago. Okay? So the statement of cash flows, it's a lot different. The money that comes in and goes out is a lot different than how it's expensed. If we incur an expense for a $50 lunch with a client in August, and we enter it before we pay the credit card bill, well, then that gets put into the August income statement to show up as an expense, probably client entertainment or some sort of an expense account, and it'll show up as an expense in August. But we haven't gotten rid of that money yet. We haven't sent the money to the credit card company. So these are two examples of things that may come off of or go onto your income statement before or after we've spent or received the money. And that's why a statement of cash flows is so important. It shows you all the money that's coming in and all the money that's going out, regardless of when it's being accounted for in the period that you specify. So It's a way for managing partners and administrators in firms and accounting departments in firms to know what their cash situation is as opposed to what their income statement related situation is. Two totally different things. You can earn income in 1 month and maybe you got the money months and months ago as a retainer, and you can spend money in 1 month, but maybe it's on a credit card statement and you're not really going to pay it till next month, or maybe not even. Maybe you're not going to pay the whole credit card bill this month. Maybe it won't be paid off entirely until 2 months from now. Okay, so there's that difference between what shows up on your income statement and how it's applied and what period it's applied in, and what shows up on your statement of cash flow. So for starters, how do we set this up? If we go into the chart of accounts and choose any account, for instance, the operating account, we will see that now under report options, we have a statement of cash flows classification, and we can, now that shows a header account. Well, regardless, it's grayed out. I don't know why it's grayed out here. Probably because it's already included automatically in a statement of cash flows. Let me pick a different account. What was that one we were working with? Let's just go client cost advances. Go to report options. And you can see here that we have the ability to show this in operating, investing, or financing income. You can also say match the heading account. Now, more on what these things mean in a second, but these are the three classifications that are on the statement of cash flows account report. And so you need to, on anything that needs to be shown on this report, you need to identify which of the three sections it will show up in, or that it will match the heading account, meaning that it's something that we want to. Whatever the heading account is, if this is a detail account underneath it, and that heading account has been set up to show up in the operating statement of cash flows classification, then everything underneath it that's identified to match the heading account will also show up in that operating statement of cash flows classification. So that's the first thing you need to do. You need to go into the accounts that you need to show your cash position on and set up which classification they're going to show up under. Then, if you simply go to your quick search and type cash, you will get the statement of cash flows. You'll see down here that I've already run this once and actually have pinned it. So I don't even need to look for it anymore, but the first time you run it, you're going to just want to type cash up here and choose the statement of cash flows. This allows you to specify the period for which you're reporting, and if you're reporting for a period that includes multiple months or quarters or years, you'll have the option to then include columns broken down by month, quarter, or year. Okay? And then on the Options tab, you're really just choosing some simple options about whether you choose to have commas in your amounts and cents on amounts and things like that. Sort is what you would expect. An account does allow you to select the accounts that you want to report on, but you've already done that. You don't need to really select an account because you've in the classification section of the chart of accounts setup, you've identified which accounts you want to appear on this report and which accounts you don't. It's unusual that you would choose to limit the accounts that it appears for. It's unusual that you would change these options, and the sort is probably going to stay the same for you. It's really just the date that you want the report for. How much money did we have at the beginning of the period? How much came in? How much went out? How much do we have left? That's what this is going to show me. I'm going to go ahead and run it, preview it. And so what we end up with is how much money did we have from net income and then adjustments and then the net cash provided by operating activities. So all of these items here were identified as things that we wanted to show on the statement of cash flows report has offsetting that net income, okay? And then these are my investing activities, and these are my financing activities, and then what we have here is how much was the cash at the beginning of the period, how much did we gain or lose, and therefore how much do we have at the end. You don't really see this cash at beginning of period till the very end of the report. So in other words, according to my records, according to my books in this sample system, we had $93,000 at the beginning of the period. We lost roughly $35,000 in cash, and this is our cash position at the end of the month. Now, this isn't actually how much money you have in the bank. It's not actually what your bank balance is, although it correlates with that. Okay. This is how much money you should have available to you at the end of the period based on the money that's come in, the money that you had at the beginning of the period, and the money that's gone out. Now, if you want to change one of these, I'm just going to jump right into this unapplied payments, and I'm going to say maybe, or what did we play with today, bank loan payable? Yeah. This bank loan payable, let's say this should really be under financing activities. Again, all you do is go to the chart of accounts record for that, and I can get there right here, not of course if I'm in chart of accounts. Oops. So right from here, I can go right into the account setup for the bank loan payable, go to that second screen, and change it so it's under financing instead of operating. Save it, get out of here, refresh my statement of cash flows, and now that account has moved down to here because that's where I told it to put it. So really that one section is just telling it this should appear on in this section, in this section, or in this section. The rest of it is pretty much laid out by the report itself. This is something that if somebody wants it, they've probably been asking you for it for a while. They've been saying, why can't we tell our statement of cash flows? Why can't we tell our cash position? And maybe you've been doing something manually to get this information for whoever's been asking for it. Now you can set the system up to give it to you automatically. And that's that. Next month, we're going to talk about net documents integration, something else that's come out new in version 2019. And we're also going to talk about viewing active users. Mary Jo's going to take that topic. I'm going to take the net documents topic, and we're going to cover those things next month. Of course, we can't get to the end of our VUG or our Coffee Pot webinars without taking you to attorneycomputersystems.com, and notice the emphasis that I place on the last S in the word systems, because without that, you will not get there. So attorneycomputersystems.com, and if you'll click on the word videos, if you hover over it, you'll get a short list, but I clicked on it so that I get the long list. It takes me to a separate page. And these are our video titles that we have in our library. 4 of them are live events. You know about this one because you're in it right now, the Tabs3 Virtual User Group meeting. We also have our Practice Master Virtual User Group meeting and our World Docs Virtual User Group meetings. And sometime in the very near future, we should be adding Cosmo Lex and Net Documents to the Virtual User Group meeting scene. And we also have our Coffee Pot webinars. These are all live events where we have people that attend, okay? So we also have 2 topics or 2 titles, if you will, that we pre-record, the Paul and Mary Jo Show and the eBytes video series. Mary Jo records 3 eBytes each month, 1 on Tabs, 1 on Practice Master, 1 on World Docs. These are short little 2 or 3 minute videos where we take something really cool that we know that we can explain very quickly, 2 or 3 minutes, and we record an eByte about it. For those things that take a little bit longer to explain, broader in nature, more in-depth, we have the Paul and Mary Jo Show. We record 1 of these each month. Paul, that's me, or Mary Jo, that's her over there, will take 1 of those topics and then take 10, 15, sometimes even 20 minutes to get into the weeds, to get into the very deep recesses of whatever it is that we need to explain there. So those are our 2 pre-recorded titles. And of course, we also have our live events, the VUGs and the Coffee Pot webinars. If we click on more info for any of these 6 titles, and I'm doing it on a live event just so you can see what that looks like, you will see information about the title of the video series, a short description of the video series, and then since this is a live event, we see information on what the topics are at the next live event. So here we see information on the October Tabs3 Virtual User Group meeting with 4 fields that we would fill out to register and hit the register button, and we're good to go. As we scroll down below those on these items that have live events, we will either see that the most recent is currently in post-production, or we'll just see live pre-recorded videos of everything we've ever done in the past. So as we scroll to the bottom, you will note that we have 26 pages with 5 per page of Tabs3 Virtual User Group meetings. So we have a lot of just that one title alone. We actually have somewhere between 800 and 900 videos on our website and on YouTube. So we've got a lot of video content. If you want to sign up for one of the live events, please do so. If you want to sign up and you don't even think you're going to be able to be there, sign up anyways, and then you will be one of the first people to receive the email from Patty that says, hey, the recorded version's available, you can go watch it here. So please, take advantage of this stuff. It's there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days per year. Please take advantage of them. They're there for you. Everybody have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the month, and we'll see you in October. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.